I swear I know the place, but the details are hazy. Like waking up from a childhood dream you can't quite grasp. It was Liminal Land, I think? I had to have been there, I just need to remember. What is Liminal Land? Liminal Land is an analog horror series presented as a place beyond normal reality, a transitional dreamlike zone between the known and unknown, creating a coexistence between liminal spaces, the uncanny valley, and obscure phenomena, portrayed through an amusement park where the possibilities are, seemingly, endless. Opening its doors in the winter of 1975, Liminal Land is said to be an iconic experimental amusement park, renowned for its unparalleled entertainment in the United States. Owned by Charon Corporation, located in the small town of Lake Valley, New Mexico, this premier destination would captivate millions by pushing the boundaries of immersive entertainment through one said mission: to dethrone Disneyland as the new go-to destination for thrill seekers. Though, as great as it sounds, there seems to be more obscure thrills and entertainment going on within the park itself. With very little news coverage on the conditions under which Liminal Land was held, visitors had undeniable enthusiasm to test the park's following experimental rides and attractions, being the Hall of Walls, Liminal Land's signature maze experience to get lost in; the Reverend Paradise Playrooms to keep kids busy; the unknown depths of Subliminal Land, the laugh track being the happiest ride on Earth; Centrifuge, rumored to hold up to 100 riders at a time; Liminal Land's reverse freefall, Skyliner, one of many prototypes; Unknown 111, Chrysanthemum, known as the signature spinner; Unknown 2, the Serpentine, claimed to be alive due to bizarre rail movement; Funhouse, a clown-like maze said to be one of the least popular attractions; Invader Cave, the park's transit system said to connect to various parts of the park; and lastly, Liminal Land's accommodations, Home, the holistic and opportune mutual experience, said to be a massive underground suburbia that would span many square miles underneath Liminal Land, perfect for families coming from out of state. Now, due to these attractions being experimental, accidents are bound to happen, though surprisingly, not a single investigation, audit, or inspection ever took place. Seemingly, these events would be persuaded as anomalous, or in other words, irregular events, and would be pushed to the side and forgotten as if they never happened. This would be a consistent pattern for the next 14 years, and eventually people went missing, rides consistently changed, and the staff within the park showed no concern or interest about it. Abruptly, on the night of May 20th, 1989, Liminal Land would officially be closed with no complete reason being. Since then, there has been nothing like it, and probably never will, being a relic of the past now from a time where you had to be there. Now join me as we lose ourselves through Liminal Land's archived tapes and information to find out what's really going on within the park itself. Quick shout out to Nick Crowley and Nexpo on creating this series. I'll link them down below along with Liminal Land's website, and you should definitely check them out if you haven't. In this training tape, we learn that the park ensures that each visitor's experience is nothing short of positive, and because of that, we are taught how to spot
dissatisfied visitors.
Can you spot them?
Look at the photo. Look at the photo. Look at the photo. Look at the photo. Look at the photo.
If we spot a dissatisfied visitor, we should make their day by suggesting park activities. After the course, we are now ready to inform our new manager to initiate with Course 7 using a passcode right. For now, we are unsure what this means, but we will come back to it. It seems Charon is doing everything they can to keep guests in the park happy and satisfied. Within the video, we are shown something that reads,
"The park is alive."
Interesting. I wonder what kind of facility was here before Liminal Land was built. Let's take a deeper look into the history surrounding Liminal Land. Before Liminal Land would sit the Lake Valley observations with the following information provided on the archive page. Colorized. One of the last surviving images from Lake Valley observations, the site of what would one day become Liminal Land. Within the building shown, clean energy was produced and used in various regions across the country. Directly beneath these facilities sat their enormous underground housing development, which would later be repurposed for Liminal Land employees, then soon into home. These images show the early days of Lake Valley, years before they would begin their clean energy initiative. The town was small, remote, and rarely visited, which made it the perfect place to build their power plant. We can then see recovered photos from inside Lake Valley observations. The site was once home to an estimated 7,000 employees at its peak, though very few photographs remain. Another photograph taken inside one of the washrooms in the underground portion of the energy facility. The white tiled walls would serve as inspiration for the decor of Subliminal Land. In some instances, the tiles did not need to be replaced. We now see the only known image taken of the hub, which is the main energy sector of Lake Valley observations. Due to the constant reactions happening inside, entering this room often meant death in under an hour. The hub would eventually be retrofitted into the final floor of Subliminal Land, which made it one of the most highly sought after locations in the entire park. We can also see circa 1973 Lake Valley observations, which reads, "Recovered image, potentially awaiting confirmation from the site of what was once the home of Lake Valley observations." This photograph was likely taken by a staff member of Charon surveying the land for purchase before its eventual renovation into Subliminal Land. Though there is a power plant on the last floor of Subliminal Land where home is located under the park. This already doesn't sound good. So we should head to the accommodations to learn more about home and get some information. Welcome home. One of the finer creations of Liminal Land Park came with the creation of their flagship accommodation, the holistic and opportune mutual experience. The home project encompassed a sprawling underground suburbia, perfect for families who traveled from out of state to experience liminal land for themselves. Built from the repurposed bones of the Lake Valley Observatory employee housing structure, the site once housed the facility's clean energy workers and their families, at the time creating one of the largest underground communities in existence. Upon its opening, Liminal Land aimed to celebrate the sense of community by transitioning home's purpose away from employees and geared toward park visitors, many of whom felt overwhelmingly comfortable while inside due to its illusory nature. This sensation of homeliness was the sole intention behind the project, as Charon sought to keep guests inside the park for as long as possible in hopes of maximizing profits. Because of this goal, Home would be the only in-park hotel offered to guests, reportedly containing around 10,000 concurrent operational rooms at its peak, spread out over a handful of square miles underneath Liminal Land. We are now shown a map that gives us a rough approximation of Home's size relative to Liminal Land, with some areas rumored to be unexplored to this day. That doesn't sound good. Blending 50s inspired decor with modern cues from the 1980s, Home was a marvel for its time, and due to the intrigue and raving reviews surrounding it, Charon would begin selling units in 1981, fulfilling their goal of keeping their patrons on the park grounds for as long as humanly possible. Due to the allure of Home and its outward appearance of a sprawling underground suburbia, quick family vacation often turned into extended and even permanent stays. And for many, the Liminal Land Park had indefinitely become home. This next tape is a recording of the local news channel sign-off in 1988. After the national anthem is played, we are shown multiple missing persons. Take a look. A number to call for each person is shown below. These are likely attributed to the numerous incidents that took place within Liminal Land Park.
But for now, we are not there.
We're able to find a short segment taken from Lake Valley's annual police report in 1987. The remainder of the booklet is missing, though this particular entry was saved by a loved one of the affected family. If you have information on the whereabouts of this booklet or any others made during Liminal Land's run, please contact the archival team. The police report reads, James Courtright, Sheriff, Roger O'Neill, Mayor, 23, lost to fire. Despite quick response time from our emergency responders, nothing could be done to salvage the home set ablaze by the June 15th fire. When arriving on scene, 2 adults engaged our team to alert them of the presence of 2 children stuck in their bedroom. The 2 were locked in for bedtime before the oven caught fire due to a forgotten cake left by the mother. The blaze, however, was too severe for the fire squad to enter. Despite best efforts, both children would perish in the flames. Fast action was made to stop spread, and thankfully nearby homes were spared of any serious damage. Cleanup was completed the following day, and one house was repainted due to damage from the smoke. No charges were filed. The remains of the Jacobson home following the June 15th house fire. The Jacobson family's 2 children sadly did not survive the fire. 6 months later, on the 25th of January, 1988, a missing person report is salvaged from the Liminal Land main square. The person depicted is the mother of the Jacobsons, being Margaret, last seen at Liminal Land Park, 600 County Road. Well, that was dark, but we now have a lead on what happened to Margaret Jacobson, and knowing she was last seen at Liminal Land, I can't imagine what could have happened. I wonder if any other investigations ever took place. Furthermore, what happened to the other
Missing reported people.
Internal memorandum stuck to a bathroom stall in the subliminal land ruins. It appears to depict some sort of internal turmoil within law enforcement. However, due to redaction, it's difficult to know for sure. The business letter reads, Lake Valley, New Mexico. I am writing this letter to inform you of escalating activities in Liminal Land Park, where outside jurisdiction is poking around behind the scenes. We've received your reports of street-clothed officers from what I assume is the Lake Valley Police Department surveying the premises after park hours, allegedly conducting some sort of unlawful investigation into your park's activities. One officer was reprimanded last night on level B34 of Subliminal Land, hiding in the men's restroom. When approached, he claimed to have been lost before refusing to speak any further. Currently, he's being held in our facility for further questioning. We will send updates on what he knows and who else is involved with this work. For now, all that's confirmed are his ties to the investigation department of... Previously, I recall your complaints of calling your officers about the lap track. It's possible he was hiding out to get a closer look at the ride when the park was cleared. We already know that Bank has an interest in that ride specifically, so my advice would be to take action in-house. Shredding files will only do so much if they are actively in the park disguised as patrons. Consider looking into Klaus 18. We're here to help. Sincerely. From this, it seems investigations were happening. Furthermore, with the size and scale of Liminal Land, it's not surprising people are getting lost. Law enforcement seems to be suspicious of the park, especially with the laugh track. Let's take a look at the origins of the ride and its creator. We can find a mention of a man named Dr. Schlittenberg in Science News 1959 that reads, the first published mention of Dr. Frank Schlittenberg in the weekly edition of Science News on November 28, 1959. The article briefly discusses his research into the world of cortical activation and specifically compression-induced laughter. Despite discovering the clear health issues that prolonged exposure that these compressions can cause, he incorporated the same technology years later into the laugh track. From here, we can get an idea of the tests and results done with machine and cortical activation. The article's data collection reads, difficulties are large. The group concerned with providing a database for this summer's interdisciplinary study of amusement park engineering at the Rochester Institute of Technology faced several difficulties, says Dr. Frank Schlittenberg, Chief Engineering Chairman. One approach to measuring the effects of the mechanical-induced cortical activation was inducing chest compression via an overhanging chest mount resting on the shoulder of willing participants. On intervals of 60 seconds, the restraints would compress, causing uncontrollable laughter in the subjects. Though there are many ways to test mechanical cortical activation, this study specifically used the means of compression for laughter and the effects it may have on individuals over extended periods of time. In their research, Respiration movements were measured by means of a strain gauge transducer attached to a slightly elastic belt around the waist. The risk of harmful pressure in the trunk cavity during expression was the sole focus in their research to distinguish whether this type of induced expression could be viable and safe to emulate in commercial products. Effects on man. Results from 2 studies of biological consequences of laughter are reported. A proposed inhibitory brain mechanism was tested in Study 1. It would aim to protect against trunk compression that caused health hazards during vigorous laughter. Compression may be maximal during moderate durations and, for protective reasons, moderate and enduring vigorous laughs. 25 university students volunteered to have their chests compressed at random intervals. Laughter responses and the superimposed ha responses were operationally assembled by mercury-filled strain gauges strapped around the trunk. On average, the participants experienced brief moments of euphoria in the test's initial phases. In later phases, participants began to feel feelings of fear, anxiety, and panic. In the final phase of testing, every participant reported feeling intense stomach pain and severe mind fog. Ultrasounds later revealed damage to the diaphragm of 3 of the participants, including 1 total rupture. Highly significant linear relations were calculated between the number of laughs and post-exposure cortical, due to high activation after frequent laughter. The results from this study support the hypothesis that mechanically induced cortical activation is possible and can be replicated to induce emotions. The results from this study also support the hypothesis that prolonged exposure to mechanically induced cortical activation can result in negative effects on the human mind and body, and that the effects pose an increased risk of harm to the vital organs in the trunk cavity. Given this, the implementation of induced laughter in commercial, uncontrolled products is not recommended until these effects are better understood. It's not currently known if any riders ever experienced damage to their bodies or minds while riding the laugh track. So, what happens if one of these rides malfunction and you can't stop it?
Imagine the laugh track or one of the other rides malfunctioning in some way, and then all of a sudden...
We find a recovered investigation tape detailing strange occurrences surrounding something nicknamed the Liminal Land Anomaly. We have no idea of what this ride could be, however, it's still mostly ambiguous. At the start, we were told that the New Mexico State Police are aware of the strange happenings surrounding the Anomaly attraction, and that the ride is believed to be tied to numerous cases of facial deformity as noted by Lake Valley Regional Health. Though, due to the graphic nature of the imagery, Lake Valley News on Channel 5 declined to cover the cases as they are not suitable for the general public. Now let's take a look and see why. Our first out of many who have had an experience with the Liminal Land Anomaly is a 42-year-old sales agent by the name of Rick Ackerman who has mild anxiety. He visits Liminal Land in July of 1988 with his wife and 3 children. For some reason, he decided to sneak away from his family to ride the Anomaly alone. We are shown a photograph of the last time his family saw him alive. We now get to see what happened to Rick after riding the Anomaly. His cause of death remains under investigation until further notice, though I'm feeling like he may still be alive. Anyways... Next, we have a 44-year-old teacher, Lena Sorensen, who as far as we know does not have any medical history. She brought her first grade class in the winter of 1984 and decided to take them to the park's Paradise Playrooms. She is said to remain with her class for 7 minutes before suddenly leaving the building through the rear exit. The students were left alone for 8 hours and never noticed she left. Why did she feel the need to just get up and leave? Is the anomaly ride possibly luring people to it? The photo of Lena's deformity is shown to us, to which Lake Valley police refuse to elaborate on the findings from the crime scene. Lastly, we have a 48-year-old director, Maria Ramos, who has a medical history of arthritis. She visited Liminal Land alone in November of 1982 and allegedly rode the wheel before making her way to the Liminal Land Anomaly. I believe this unknown attraction may be the wheel, but I'm not entirely sure. If anyone can confirm this, let me know down below. Shockingly, the anomaly was reportedly closed for repair that day, but park employees recall seeing a woman near the ride's controls, yet did nothing to question to stop her. After this, the ride reportedly engaged with the woman in the furthest rail car to the rear. The ride was closed due to a faulty failsafe, causing the ride to run multiple times per session, and that day it ran non-stop for 26 minutes, causing Maria's facial structure to be the worst of them all. This would be the first death known by the Liminal Land Anomaly, with the investigation by the New Mexico State Police ongoing. From this, I believe I have made some connections to what I think is happening. Each of them seem to be attracted to this ride, or it attracts them. We have Rick, who for some reason was drawn to the anomaly, Lena, who suddenly leaves the building with no explanation, and Maria, who knew the ride was closed down for the day but persisted on riding, going as far as turning the ride on herself. This being said, I can't shake the feeling that the entire park is just one big entity who lures people. Memorandum: the sound in C block. Letter recovered from the maintenance office and home. Sections are unfortunately redacted, however, our team is working to recover the lost data. The letter reads, April 21st, 1984. David, I'm having trouble figuring out how to approach Dr. S about this, but this is seriously getting out of hand. We cannot keep guys on payroll for longer than a few weeks before they walk off. I'm not sure if it's a pay discrepancy or what, but this is seriously beginning to affect our bottom line. Home is a f***ing mess. It's become a colossal ever since Dr. S decided to sell units for permanent stays. All this man cares about is money, money, money. And the residents don't care. They sit in their rooms living like the trash is everywhere and it stinks. How am I supposed to hire any decent talent if their first day on the job is cleaning up the mess the last team abandoned? We either need to shut off sections of home or figure out some way to get more people in here fast. I can't keep holding these overnights alone. Not like this. It's messing with me bad. I haven't told anyone, but 2 nights ago I heard something down the hallway inside C block. I'm not sure if it was because I was up for 22 hours straight again, but it sounded so f***ing real. It was akin to a child's scream. This disturbing, blood-curdling scream, followed by what I can only describe as a... I know it sounds ridiculous. It's underground, but dear God, it hasn't left my mind since. We need more guys. I'm overworked, I'm tired, and if things don't change, I'm walking off just like the others. because this. From this, it seems that home is struggling, understaffed, and tense. Jason, one of the few employees left, hears a terrifying scream echoing through the facility, followed by an unnatural sound. Let's take a deeper look into the home facility through our next tape. The description reads, "Internal company training tape, recovered and submitted by an anonymous source. Strangely, this video appears to have been taped over, and as far as we know, the victim depicted herein has never been found." Here we get to learn more about the home facility, and I immediately find it strange that Charon stresses to ensure guests stay as long as possible. With the park being strategically placed right at the entrance, this tells me that if the park is an entire entity, home must be the center of whatever is lurking down there. When the tape transitions, there is a hidden message that reads, "Warning, do not attempt to explore or ascertain the true size of home facility. Even we are entirely unsure of its true size and extent." After, we're told to spot the inconveniences in these images with another hidden message displayed reading, "Important. Routinely and securely remove any and all doors, windows, or thresholds that can potentially serve as an exit from the home entertainment area. Enough." Interestingly, we can even see that some areas of home aren't accessible to the employees that work there. From this, it seems they're pretty much forcing people to stay, or something has them under some kind of illusion whether they like it or not. This in itself is terrifying, especially once everything is taken out of the rooms, giving it a very secluded and claustrophobic environment. We now cut to a found footage example that can lead to anomalous occurrences in the home facility. In this walkthrough video, we get to see the state the facility is in, and it's not doing well, it seems. Let's keep watching. We're told not to follow strange sounds, enter into a stranger's home, and never leave a passage unblocked, and curiosity become regret. There's also a door the victim in the tape finds that is emanating bull sounds and quickly becomes frantic with a message displaying, "Do not go in there." Right after this, we cut to our victim running for his life through the facility, seemingly lost. Eventually, a message is displayed to us saying, With what seems like the exit of the facility, our victim runs through but is suddenly dragged back by something. Our final tape, Mommy's Friend, reads, Recovered investigation tape focusing on the manhunt for Sophia Munoz. A story written by her daughter appears to be an incriminating piece of evidence, yet it's unclear if either of the two have ever been found. The New Mexico State Police continue the investigation surrounding the strange activity happening around Lake Valley, New Mexico. We see the detectives got a lead which directed them to the Munoz residence with allegations of Sophia Munoz acting erratic since her daughter's disappearance under unknown circumstances. A photo of Sophia is shown and we see she is 54 years old and alleges that her daughter was last seen at home, being 504 Dorado Street. According to her testimony, she ran away from home in the dead of night, while Sophia alleges that she was asleep in her bed and heard not a single sound to wake her. With this, detectives conclude that Sophia Munoz isn't lying. Yet, what motive would Angie have to run? We now learn that during the most recent search of the Munoz home, drawings from the missing daughter are discovered, being a story called Mommy's Friend. Once this discovery was made, an immediate manhunt for Sophia Munoz began, yet surprisingly, she had fled from her home. The story starts off with Mommy's Friend, drawn by Angie, with our first page showing Angie's mom, Sophia. We then see that she takes Angie everywhere, one place being Liminal Land, and she's very excited. But then, Mommy made me sad. Mommy taken me in the house. Inside there were more houses. Mommy looked. Mommy said she was looking for a friend. Follow me, it's okay. Mommy's friend. As you would guess, the Lake Valley Police Department now have a reason to believe that Sophia Munoz was involved in the disappearance of her daughter Angie. And we finally get a visual piece of evidence to what is causing all the commotion surrounding the park. What we are seeing is some kind of demonic entity. I was able to find out what it was through the intervention section of the website's archives, as there is a password required that was once rite of passage, which answers the first videotape we analyzed that read, "After the course, we are now ready to inform our new manager to initiate Course 7 using a passcode rite." After inputting this password, we were met with this. This is Malok. Malok was a Canaanite god associated with the sacrifice of children. The name Malok is derived from the Hebrew words Melich and Bashet, meaning king and shame. Malok is often depicted as a bull-headed idol with outstretched hands over a fire. This depiction is a combination of brief mentions of Malok in the Bible and other sources, such as ancient accounts of child sacrifice. This in itself is terrifying and explains a lot about all these strange occurrences surrounding the park. And well, now that we've been there, let's compile it all together and theorize. Knowing Malok is a god associated with child sacrifice, I did some further research and it seems clear that there are similarities to the Minotaur, as they both associate with sacrifice but have different origins and stories. Minotaurs originated from Greek mythology, where the Labyrinth originated from. The Labyrinth consists of confusing maze-like structures that were built to keep the Minotaur trapped, with the creator himself getting lost within its confusing walls. With this information, we can see the connections being Home's facility, a massive underground labyrinth where at the center this power plant and deity reside, bringing me to the belief that the entire park is an entity that feeds off the park goers. What better way to feed off children than an amusement park? Since the home facility is in such a bad state, it's clear that when the park grabs hold of you, it makes you not notice or care about your surroundings. We saw this within the Anomaly tape, where each person for some odd reason was drawn to certain parts of the park without having a second thought about it. We also see this within the Sound and Sea block, where it's stated the facility is in horrible condition. Remember that the hub was where nuclear reactions were used to create power and is now where Subliminal Land resides. We're also told that the tiles didn't need to be replaced during the renovation of the underground pools, and were also where the reuses of clean energy reservoirs were. With all of this information, I'm led to believe that people are taking radioactive baths, leaving them with massive mind fog, along with remnants of this radioactivity floating around the home facility, further affecting the parents to not notice any of their surroundings. The laugh track is another ride I believe is a big culprit in this, due to it causing euphoria, and the testing of the negative effects of about 16 years before the park's opening would be plenty of time to replace the bad with good, making guests wanting to come back for more. We're also told that the main energy sector, being the hub, can cause death in under an hour. This sounds like a cover-up to me for where these cult sacrifices take place. Who would go somewhere if they knew death was a possibility so quickly? As for the staff identifying dissatisfied visitors in the employee training tape, I don't believe they are visually dissatisfied, but more they're not affected by the brain fog of any of the rides, so the staff directs them to say the laugh track to initiate these feelings and to keep them on park grounds for as long as humanly possible, which further disconnects them from their surroundings. Now, we're still missing a lot of information, such as what happened to the multiple missing people such as Margaret, and can only guess that the park has a hold of them and could be anywhere inside. Furthermore, I was unable to find anything on why the park had actually shut down due to this story being on hold for over a year now with no updates, so unfortunately we're left hanging for now.